Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another exciting adventures of Mariner of Spirit, which is our Friday night show. It's been a long week. There's been a lot of things that have been happening, and we try to go ahead and keep everything in perspective here, especially when it comes to ITC and things like that in the paranormal community. Uh, what I want to go ahead and mention before we bring our guests in is there's a few things that, and I do it every week, and some of you guys are going, "Oh boy, he's going to mention that stuff again." Well, it means something to me, and I know that if I mention it enough, maybe it'll mean something to you guys too. And the people that I support, Photographs, Tim Miley. Tim, I've had the opportunities to do a few of his, and he's been there, and then he's been not only on at the Paracons, but he's also been at a lot of events that he does. And you know what? The guy's amazing. He was at the verge of calling it quits when his pup died, and he got an idea, and it blossomed. He took a picture of himself and his pooch and went to a Paracon and, got a table and started selling pictures of himself and his pooch. And then he got more ideas, and the next thing you know, he has photographs, and he does events, and he has all his friends in the paranormal community, not all of his friends, but friends that are willing to go ahead and sacrifice a trip and sacrifice all those things that are necessary to go ahead and meet the demands of the event. And they're all great people. And if you get a chance and run into Tim, say hi and say, wow, really, he's a great guy. Secondly, it's PKC, Paranormal Kicks Cancer, Chris Gaskowski, and Alex Wilkinson. And Alex is an exceptionally beautiful girl. And, Chris he's a good looking guy. But what they do is they run these events, haunted houses, amusement type houses too, and things like that. Florida and up and around that southern part of the United States. And they do an awesome job, and it's for cancer research. So they've been doing this now, I'd say probably 7 years, and they do an awesome job. And they're great people. So if you get a chance to run into them in an event, do the same, please. And then the third is the Jessica Petrie Foundation. And Jessica Petrie is the daughter of Howard Petrie from the Pun Network. And he lost his daughter about, I think, maybe 3 or 4 years ago now. And anyway, Jessica, her foundation is a resource for expectant mothers, families of pregnant and pregnant women with mental illness. So that's the second thing. And Howard's a little sick right now too. So if you get an opportunity, say a few prayers for Howard, because he's done a great job, and he's always looking out for the guys that do the work in the community as far as shows are concerned and things like that. So I've known Howard for a few years now, and he's an exceptional character. And I'll use the word character. He's a gentleman, but at the same time, he can be 100% character. And the only other thing I want to mention is authors. And that's we have Bruce Holliday. We have Lynn Monet. We have Ryan Iacovetti, who was on with us last night. We've got Dr. Rebecca Foster. We have Rex Nielsen. Rex Nielsen's got a new book out on Amazon too. It's all drawings, and it's that the new one is an adult coloring book, and it's for adults. And it doesn't mean that it's got nude people in it. It means that it's really, really hard to go ahead and complete the picture. So you got to be, really into it. Todd Bates is on there, and so is Dr. Heather Lee Langdon. All these people have books, and all these books are available on Amazon. Or if you want an autographed copy, I would go ahead and suggest that you get a hold of the authors. And without further ado, I want to bring in Jeff and Nancy Resman. Jeff and Nancy Resman are two people that I've known for quite a few years now. I think it was after the Indian War, wasn't it?
Yeah. For
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
Hi guys.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Okay. Good. How are you?
We were in a neighborhood, so we just wanted to pop in and say hi.
That's all. That's awful.
We're freaking creeping around on everybody.
That's all right.
That's all. That's really, really nice.
What else do you do on a Friday night?
And we like creeps, so
Yes.
that's okay.
We're creepers, man.
Hey, we'll
Hey,
all get all
Becky.
good.
Common Denominator Network. Kimmy Court. Yeah, Corleone. Carol. All right, bye, y'all.
Hey,
he does.
Job, Greg.
Good job, Greg.
He does. You know what? Maybe we can go ahead and we can do this next week.
Okay.
And we can do it for the whole show. And I'm not trying to get you to go. Oh, jeez, he did it.
A hit and run.
You know what? This family that I belong to is really something else. And, it's them. And then I have a couple people from up in Connecticut or Rhode Island, Chris Carr and Kristen Johnson, who have the Bigfoot and the Bunny show. And I've been around them forever too. And there's characters or people that are in the paranormal that usually work with them. And they're so interesting. They, if you knocked them over, you'd have information from here all the way down to Florida, probably a whole big streak of it. So, it's really great to have you guys on. I'm really excited.
It's always a pleasure.
And, when we have you on, we have to be talking about the great machine, the one that simply changed it all. My first question I have, and I don't think I ever talked to you about this, but I know that you and I are fairly close in age.
Yeah.
I think you're probably 10 years younger than I am. But you know what? I would say Frank Sumption. And this goes back a little bit. When was the first time that you became aware, both of you guys, aware of Frank Sumption?
2006, 7?
Yeah, probably around 2006.
All right.
Maybe. Yeah, because we fell into this quite by accident. We had somehow I ended up booking us in a hotel in Wisconsin. And they were having
a bed and breakfast.
It was a bed and breakfast, and they were having like a ghost tour thing in the house. And I had no idea about the house or any of that stuff. So I thought, okay, this is a fun thing to do, just a weekend away, just the two of us. So we went, and the person who was hosting this whole experience had a spirit box, and they did this whole thing with the hotel, with the bed and breakfast, with the history of it and all that stuff. And I kept feeling things, and Jeff was feeling things, and we went into different rooms, and it was, we were having all these interactions between the two of us. And we weren't really talking to anybody else about what we were feeling and the spirits that were coming through and all this stuff, except for this parlor that this woman had in this bed and breakfast. And she had a mannequin that had this awesome black dress on. It was like a widow's dress. And the dress started to kind of tell me all the stories about the women that have worn that dress. So sometimes when spirit starts talking to me, they chirp, you get that chirping. And if you don't start to pay attention to it, they don't ease up.
They chirp louder.
Boom, 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 boom. So I just started talking about the dress and the women that have worn the dress. And there were 3 of them. And sitting next to this dress in this room was an old doctor's bag. And it was this big black leather bag. And both Jeff and I saw it at the same time. And then that spirit started coming through to us. And we just kind of were talking to each other about it. And this person who was kind of hosting, like I was saying, hosting this haunted weekend thing had a spirit box. And we were sitting outside on like a little porch. And he had the radio running. And this was the first time either of us had ever experienced anything like that before. And I kept telling Jeff, this is bullshit. This can't be real, because it was moving so fast, and the things that were coming through were so different. And it sounded like, where are you going? It sounded like a CB radio, the way it was coming through, because you get the, and he had like it was almost like a speaker mic that he was using. And I just kept telling Jeff, this can't be, we weren't really able to understand or hear anything that was coming through. But then every now and then you'd pick up something. We'd pick up a sentence, or we'd pick up a word, or we'd hear a voice. And all these other people seemed to like totally be into this. And here's the 2 of us like, yeah, this just isn't, it's not real. It just can't be. So the next day we talked to the person who was hosting this a little bit more, and he gave us a little bit more history about the box, the radio that he had. And that kind of piqued Jeff's interest to dig a little bit deeper. So that's when he got in touch with Frank Sumption and Joe Ciappi and Steve Holte. And that's how we kind of fell into all of this. And it's been quite a ride, to say the least. I had my doubts for a long time. You can pick up too anytime you're ready. When Jeff started talking to Steve Holte and who else?
Bruce at the time.
Oh yeah, Bruce. I'm sorry, Bruce. Yeah. I'm sorry if you're out there and I forgot Bruce. Your name. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He started connecting to Steve Holte and Bruce, and
there were very few people doing it at the time. Mike Coletta was doing some messing with it and trying to different methods of doing it. But and say Frank Sumption was building the equipment. There were not a lot of people who were investing time or effort into it per se.
Yeah. And just, Frank, Steve was in Jersey and Bruce in New York, right? So they were in the East Coast, and here we are out here.
Yeah.
And the person who kind of got us all started into this, I don't know, there was just something about him that didn't seem like he was doing it for the right reason. He was doing it more for the financial aspect of it. And also, there was a couple there who had lost their son. And he was kind of playing on that aspect of their grief, which totally upset me to no end, because I have the empathy factor kind of thing going on. So I feel the sadness of people around us who are going through issues like that. So feeling their grief and talking to them, and then having him kind of almost say to them, well, for this much money, you know, kind of walking down that road without saying the words. So that kind of made me think that this can't be on the up and up. This is a guy who's just going to take their money and run. How do you know that it's really that whole spirit thing? How do you know it's that person coming through? It's a box. You can't see him. You can't do anything with it. So how do you know? And I kept saying to Jeff, I bet there's somebody across the street with a CB radio who's answering.
little walkie-talkie,
yeah,
you know?
Because every now and then, I swear to God, you hear like somebody was pressing on the mic. So this isn't real. This can't be real. But the more that Jeff started digging into it with Bruce and Steve, the more he was able to understand it. And from his understanding, he started to do a little bit more research and do a little bit more stuff. And he got his first box, and, you know, he built it up from there. And seeing him enjoy it and understand it was really cool. But because I was so afraid of the box and opening up portals, because I'm like the biggest one who says, don't play with Ouija boards. Don't start something you can't understand. Don't open a door you can't close. I would not let him do this in the house. He was not allowed to turn the boxes on in the house. Never, ever, ever. He could sit out on the driveway. He could sit on the deck, but he couldn't do it in the house. Now, how stupid is that?
I kept my mouth shut.
I didn't realize the dumbness of the whole situation. If spirit comes through, they're coming in my house anyway. So, but I wanted my house to be a safe place.
Right.
I figured they'd stay outside. They just stay outside. I have enough land and enough neighbors, they could bother them and they could leave us alone.
That didn't work too well.
No, it didn't work too well.
When you take your head, Jeff, and you go back, you start to get absorbed by the green screen, is it?
Yes. She just put that up.
Before there was a hand and a glass, and you were drinking out of it, but all I could see was the hand and the glass.
He had a cup of soda.
Oh, that's okay. It looked like a glass to me.
Wait a second.
Yeah, you can't advertise. Take it out.
It's a ghostly Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a ghostly Coke. That is really something. But that's really interesting. Now, did you go ahead and actually see the magazine when it first came out? The Popular Mechanics and Popular Science?
No, but I heard about it.
I can remember going in to a local hardware store in the city, in the Austin neighborhood. And I went in and I saw this magazine, and it says talk to aliens. But they didn't use aliens back then. They used spacemen.
Spacemen. Yeah. Oh my
Talk
God.
to spacemen. And I opened
up.
How
long ago was that?
That was before Indians, I think.
Yeah. Well, when we started out, I did some research, especially on one individual, Konstantin Raudiv. Okay, who was the godfather of this technology and spearheaded the spirit communication.
Right.
And turns out he's just very much an intellectual guy, and turned out he was a very, very nice gentleman. And once he just started because in my mind, I work mechanically and systematically, and I work backwards to understand things.
Okay.
Then I can go back forwards on it.
Right.
So, and he was been doing this from the 60s. So I started pulling up some of his old research and stuff. And I go, wow, this is amazing. He was doing this before anyone else was.
Yeah, and there was Tesla's whole,
Tesla,
thing about talking to spirit and
Tesla and Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison. Yeah, it goes all the way back to them.
And you would think that Tesla and Thomas Edison had a rivalry going. They did.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a friendly rivalry because they didn't hate each other. In fact, it was just the opposite.
Isn't that what the government did to him?
Yes.
Pretty much, just like it does all the time. It kind of tries to pitch you against each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I knew that part, and I knew that I've been a fan of Tesla's.
And what is Tesla most famous for? And you use it every day.
Holy cow! That doesn't make me look like too much of a fan, does it?
The radio, the Delco radio for the cars.
Okay. But there's no AC Delco radios anymore, are there?
No, but the funny thing is, he was doing spirit communications and he invented the radio.
With the radios in the cars.
Radios in the cars. Wait a second. You did some progression down the line.
Yeah, it was either pushing the buttons,
and you got all the static through there if you're going through stations, which is just perfect for white noise.
Mm-hmm. So it was either pushing the buttons or dialing, turning the dial to try to tune into Tokyo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I gotta think there's some type of correlation in there.
Well, today, even like with Ron and Lords Yacovetti, they have that Staticom now.
Okay.
And there's no white noise. It's a dead channel.
Well, actually, there is white noise. You just don't hear it.
Right.
And if something breaks through it, it pops right out. That's someone's got a system out there that you don't have that noise. It's just quiet until something actually pops through.
Yeah.
Ron, and then you got the Rathmans, Tony Rathman and his wife Sherry, and they're like two teams together.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a lot of this work with these machines, and they have different things for reduction of certain sound and things like that. I can't explain it all.
They're trying to isolate the frequency.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Which is actually a great idea.
Yeah.
But they do it, and he was on again last night, and he's been it's a show that I do with a partner of mine, and we were talking to three other people, and right out of the clear blue, he says, "Well, I got a special guest for us now," and I want, what? How did he get a hold of Ron? People like you guys are the same as everybody else in the community. I would go ahead and send a message, or if I knew you well enough, I would call you.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't just give him a message on Messenger and say, "Hey, I've got a show going on right now." But that's the way he is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he got it. He picked it perfectly because his Ron's Lords, she was out of town, so he had the whole night and the next day all to himself. So it was like, I'll play. I'm gonna play. Yeah, I'm gonna play tonight.
Yeah. Freedom.
Yeah, he did his own little spiel. So if you get a chance to see the Perfectly Normal Paranormal Communication show, it's on there from last night, and this is awesome technology. So
Yeah.
Not that what everybody else does, like what we do, is
Right.
wrong. It's just a different way of looking at it.
And it's good that there's always somebody who's not afraid to try to refine it or try to fine tune it.
Try something new and different.
Yeah, because
Right.
technology has changed so much that there's always going to be something that's a little bit better.
Right. But if they can get that frequency tuned in right, and there's white noise is there, but it's not heard, and if someone's got enough batteries and juice behind them for good communication, there's no telling how much communication will flow. It could just open a floodgates, which would be totally awesome.
Yes. Yeah, they do some awesome stuff. And
That's
it's not
good.
just usually sentences.
Mhm.
That's the best part.
Yeah, because there's some communication stuff out there that I hated. You would hear the click, 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 and a word, click, 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 and a word, and I'd be like, really? I don't have the time to sit here and listen to this thing for 2 hours. Or you hear just nothing but static.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden hello.
Yeah. 20 hours of going over a 1 hour audio session, and you get 6 words, maybe one statement.
Maybe. Yeah.
That's something, though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something, but then it makes you again question, what am I hearing? What am I listening to? I'm the one who's going to question everything. Jeff can tell you I don't trust anything right out of the box. I don't. It takes me a little bit to be able to
Believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And trust is a big thing for me. So when he first started working with the box, like I was saying, I wouldn't let him do it in the house. I had come home one night and he was sitting outside, and it was in the summer, and he was doing a box session with Steve and with Bruce. And I was
on your driveway.
No, on the deck. So I was in the house, and I was I had the door open.
We were talking about 9/11.
Yeah, and
talking to a fireman friend of Bruce's that was in there that was killed.
And I was just kind of like, listening to their conversation a little bit and not paying attention. And I went to walk outside, and as soon as I opened up the back door, I hear this voice go, "Hey, Nance." And I looked at Jeff, and I turned around, I closed the door, and I
walked
went
away.
back in the house. And he came in the house, and he was like, "What in the heck was that?" I go, "I don't want to talk about it. Go back outside." So he went back outside, and they continued to do whatever they were.
But that voice kept calling for her to come back.
That session that they were doing. And after a little while, I thought, no, it can't be.
We talked to him.
I just thought to myself, it can't be. It can't be. So I opened the door, and I go back out on the deck. And again, Nance in a really stern voice. And I just looked at Jeff, and I just lost my shit. I started crying like a baby. And he goes to me, "What's wrong?" And here's Steve and Bruce on their end of this whole session. And I said to him, "That's Joe, my husband, my first husband, who had passed away in a car accident." It was his voice, dead on. And nobody ever called me Nance except for him. And the only time he called me Nance was when he was mad at me. He never called me Nancy. It was always Nance. And it was just the way he said it that I knew that it was his voice. He had a unique kind of Chicago Italian accent. And I knew it was him. And I said to him, I can't sit here and I can't listen to this, because I'm trying to understand the whole concept of what's going on, but yet I'm hearing a voice of somebody that I know. So I went back in the house, and he continued to have conversation with Steve and Bruce and Jeff. And just the questions he was asking.
We were talking about her boys, my stepsons.
Yeah. And
wow, that's pretty cool.
The conversation that they were having, and he, Jeff asked him, so do you like the changes that we've made to the house? And because we're living in the house that the two of us had together, and
But he really
just-
liked the big screen TV.
that and he mentioned it. Jeff didn't mention it. He did. And this whole time, here's Bruce and Steve like totally flabbergasted at this conversation that he's having with somebody that he doesn't know. They don't know. I know, but I'm not even part of the conversation. So after that, I said to Jeff, you have to show me this. You have to let me learn, because now I know that there's more to it than just the noise you hear, Yeah.
And
She
there
got-
is.
She got a shock one day when she was sick when we were doing our show. And she says, I'm going to go into the other room.
No, they kicked me out.
Well, yeah, they went in the other room.
We were doing our
They literally kicked her out of the kitchen with me.
and I really wasn't feeling good, and I'm blowing my nose and doing all this stuff and
They
drinking
told her to
hot
leave.
tea, and Spirit said, "Leave the room," and I was like, "Are you talking to me? Who's telling me to leave the room?" And no, you can't leave that way. And they were like, "It's us. It's us. You don't feel good. Leave the room." So the way our kitchen is set up, it's a long space.
Yeah, she would walk 30 feet back into the kitchen. The loud voice said, "Go away.
Go away.
Go back."
I was like, so I'm sitting in the living room, and he's doing the show with me in the living room, like 30 feet away, and he's on live, and then a friend of ours, Bobcat, takes over as co-host.
Yeah.
Because
we put him on.
Spirit kicked me out.
Oh yeah, it was a great show that night because we were doing a box session. We were talking to Ron Santos from the Chicago Cubs and Barry Carey, and
Carey.
Yeah, he actually sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" for us.
It was pretty funny.
We did one not that long ago, and we had Mickey Mantle.
That would be cool.
And it was his voice.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because Reggie is a lot younger than me, and it was like he asked for Mickey Mantle, and then he asked for the first black baseball.
Oh,
Willie Mays?
No, 42.
Yeah. That was brain farts.
Yeah.
Horrible when you get them.
Yeah.
But he asked them. He had their cards, and he asked the questions, and it was just like, you got to be kidding. And then when Mickey was on, it was
Jackie Robinson,
correct. And it was like unbelievable. And we went from there, and then we did another show out there on the East Coast, the Borden lady.
Lizzie
Borden.
And she didn't do it.
Okay, hold on there. What did she tell you? Did she mention her cousin?
There was an uncle too, wasn't there?
Yeah, but did she mention about her cousin who was staying there that no one really talks about?
No.
It was her and her cousin who did it. Her cousin did most of it, really. That's the funny thing about it, because we talked to her. I got one of her actual the cards from when
the photo.
The old photo from when she died. And she really wasn't. Her problem was she was there and couldn't stop her cousin.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, good point, because good catch, because she didn't do it, but she took the blame for it, and no one talks about the cousin.
Yeah, and that could have been that I just forgot that part about the cousin, but
that's okay. But talking to her is, that's a highlight. Okay,
we had it set up where there were Bigfoot and the Bunny, which is from up in Connecticut. otherwise they're known as Dark Horse Paranormal. They're old friends of ours. So we had a show with me and them, and then Reggie. And Reggie was at his house. He wasn't with us. So in the middle of what we were doing, and Reggie has this system all set up with all these different cameras. So he actually recorded himself telling Spirit to go ahead and mention of what we were doing, to interject into it and mention the fact that they said that Reggie did it.
So it could have been. I mean,
Well,
who knows?
Reggie was my friend, is our friend
Yeah.
that does the show with us.
Right.
So it was like, no, and he was doing that just to sort of prove how it can move,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
where people go, no, that's not possible. And
Yeah.
it was just like some of the people just didn't know what to do after that happened.
Yeah,
And we didn't. It was 2 weeks later we finally had the opportunity to do that part of the show, and it was like, holy cow.
Tracy said in chat that it was her uncle, which it could have been the uncle, because when you talk to Spirit, how do we know that whoever we're talking to is telling us the truth?
Exactly.
We don't know. So, Spirit could say, oh yeah, it's Lizzie and my cousin did it, or oh yeah, it's Lizzie and my great-grandfather did it. How do we know that the person we're talking to is really the person who we're talking to?
Only thing we know for sure is she didn't do it. There was someone else there.
All these people are great people in there too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're fantastic. Tracy is multi-talented. She even does t-shirts.
Spirit t-shirts?
And she, with different faces, and you could have logos, and you can have.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Cool.
Oh, you were thinking, oh my God.
That could be a great thing.
That was here. We'll get a little box that goes under your shirt. Like those these capture the spirit you want. You get go on eBay, get Spirit in a box, and we'll transfer it to a shirt for you.
What's his name from the rock band? He had the guitar, the red and white guitar, and he died.
Eddie Van Halen.
Eddie Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
My partner, when I was in the bait business, I was with him, and he painted Eddie's guitars.
Oh, really?
And I have a bait here. Let me show you this. My friend died. He passed, had a brain tumor. And
sorry.
we did these as a sort of a remembrance for him.
Oh, how cool.
And it says in memory, and he died in 18.
Wow, that's cool.
And they were numbered on the bottom, and there were only something like 50 of them, maybe. No, two of 10, 2 of 20.
Wow.
And they were $100 and some odd dollars a piece.
Cool.
But that's the same thing,
Right.
When you start to get into things like that, especially when it's the old times. Have you guys been out to Alexa, the Axe Murder House?
No, we actually haven't done any investigating it's been a while.
Since the COVID crap started,
Well,
we
even
just
before
Jeff
started having some serious health issues that we kind of had to let go to the front and try to take care of. That was one of the reasons why we stopped our show.
Well, the last time the first time before that I met you was at that last Chicago Paracon.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you stayed in the room, I want to say, with Scotty Rourke, right? Or your room was down real close?
Yeah, it was close. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it was that was a great group, and now we lost Grunwald.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
That was a shock.
Well, when he went ahead and he says that they said it was stage 4, and it's not that they can't go ahead and bring you back from that, but it depends on exactly what was going on with it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he smoked like a chimney.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. But Scott, gotta love him. He was a character.
Oh, to say the least.
I mean, we did a Tim Miley's conference of Wisconsin. Scotty came in from California a little late, and he went and sat down. And I got up off my end of the table up there and walked over to him, went and sat in his lap, put my arms around him, gave him a kiss on the cheek, and said, "Uncle Scotty, I missed you. How have you been?" And he just went right into an act.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a character. You never knew what to expect from him.
We were at that another con that was at like some big sports place, and we had a table in the corner, and on the opposite corner was Cheryl and Carter. And Scotty came in, and he had a just different outfit on, and he said he wanted a change. And we were all, okay, well, the conference was going to open in like 5 minutes. And he says he was in a hurry. He couldn't go anywhere else. So he decided he was just going to change right there.
Yep. He did our show once. He forgot we were on video.
Oh my God. He was
no t-shirt, no
in his
shirt.
House in the garage.
In the garage. He said, "Wait a second, I got to the bathroom." We see him get up, go to a utility sink he had next to the washer and dryer, take a piss in it while he's all on video. We were falling off our chairs.
And we didn't say anything until he came back and sat down. And I go, Scott? He goes, yeah. I go, do you realize that you were on camera? And he just kind of looked at us.
He's like, oh, shit, I forgot about that.
Okay. I go, we just saw you pee in the utility sink. He goes, yeah, but did you see I had no pants on? It was like, yeah, you had no pants on. And the world got to see parts of you that you probably didn't want them to see.
Oh, boy.
He just like, well, that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. It won't be the first time. Won't be the last time.
See, I know what conference you were talking about with Scotty Rourke and everything. And what did they call that that he did that night? Ambush?
Oh, that was with, yeah, it was with him and Scotty.
Yeah.
Naked Ambush.
Naked Ambush.
Yeah, because I gave them the key to the room and they went in and.
Oh, that you were in there.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm glad I forgot that part because I wasn't gonna.
Yeah.
I
wasn't gonna bring it up.
Scotty Rourke, he says, like, naked Ambush. Wait a second, are you not?
No, there was Grinwald. Grinwald goes, is he naked under there? I go, I don't know. He goes to Jeff, are you naked under there? And he lifts up the
Scotty
cover
and Scotty go, yeah, he's naked. All I could do was just laugh. I couldn't get mad at him. I go, can you guys go? I really want to go back to sleep.
Yeah, it was quite the weekend.
You couldn't get mad at him because it was just so funny.
What a group of people.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like I was saying, we haven't done any investigating or any events or anything like that for a while. And it's like, do you want to get back into the swing of it? Do we want to start going through that? We've been working a lot more with a group that does a lot of cases with kids and people that are really in need of spiritual advice and help, and it's 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 interesting and it's fulfilling. And our friend Tom has gotten a nice group of people together that he can rely on when there's issues, and it's not just in one area, it's pretty much all over. So yeah,
it's a crazy time right now too.
Oh, you have no idea, my friend.
The world is such a mess, and
so I mean, in that respect, people like you that dedicate yourselves to things like that, or
Hmm.
kudos. That's the only way to put it.
Yeah.
'Cause, you guys carry it.
Well, when someone wants to get into this, I ask one very important question: why are you getting into it, and how far are you willing to go? Tell me your actual motives or ulterior motives, and what are you looking to get out of it? What's your end results? And you'd be amazed that maybe 1 out of 10 people says, "Well, I want to do it. I want to be able to learn, and I want to be able to help people." Which means 9 out of 10 people didn't want to help people; they just wanted to be noticed
Hmm.
in the community. Whereas you, like us, it's more important to be, let's say, incognito.
No, it's just.
But we're there to help someone when they need it, without any acclaim
Yeah. No.
or
No.
notoriety.
Yeah.
Someone says thank you. That's all we care about.
Yeah.
And
knowing that everything is okay.
Yeah.
For some of the people that are the young ones that are in here, though, that is the thing that they need to hear. Is they need to hear your voices and other people like you who have experienced all this from pretty much the beginning, with give or take, a couple years. And that is something that some of them don't even have any conception of.
No, they don't. Have you ever run across these people who only believe in the good side, the light side, actually, they call it, and they don't want to believe in the dark side of it?
Right, there's both.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But they don't have any clue. And
they don't. They're the most dangerous of all, because you look at them and they're well, I don't say they're haunted, but they're surrounded by all this negativity because they don't believe in it, so they're preying on them.
Yeah, and I mean, there's, like, I can only speak from my own experience. I started my first time with spirit was when I was very young. I was 3 years old, and having that happen to me as a child and having spirit continue with me through my entire life. Jeff didn't even know when we first started dating that I was able to communicate. I kept that part of my life hidden. I didn't want him to know. I didn't want him to even ask about it, because not everybody understands when you can communicate with spirit, how that affects your life. I mean, I can shut it off, but I can't stop it. I can pause it. I can pause spirit,
like temporarily.
Yes, but I can't stop them from talking to me.
Right.
I can't tell them to shut up. I can ask them, "Can you give me a break?" Or
hold on a second. I don't want to interrupt you. Don Corleone, yes. Go ghost hunting with some experienced individuals. 1, 2, 3, 4 people. Make sure they're experienced and that they know enough to be able to protect you before, during, and after. And you'll have a good time.
And you're the first thing that he said that's pretty awesome is, I respect it enough. And that's what you have to do, is you have to respect the spirit. You have to respect the location. And that's going to get you pretty far, is just that in itself. And, it's okay to have that feeling of skepticism. It's okay. I've been in this for a long time, and I still am skeptic sometimes when spirit comes or when somebody says they've had this experience. The things that Jeff experiences are totally different than the things that I experience. And there's sometimes when he'll start to talk to me about
I would never want her to experience what I do.
And he'll start to talk to me about the things that he's experienced and done. And I put it this way: that's the pretend life. This is the real life. I tell him, if that life is going to interfere with this life, then I want to know.
Right.
Because he'll have issues where, he'll tell me that this happened, or, he got hurt in this way, or he got hurt in that way. What was it that you said to me this morning? You felt like you were going to die? I go, don't die in this world.
Yeah.
You can die in that one, but you can't die in this one. But if you die in that one, are you dying in this one?
Yeah.
So, where's that crossover?
Right.
But
well, I want to answer a question for Don. I see it on there. I like this new format. I really do, Greg. Nice deal. He wants to know what the biggest oh shit moment. I can honestly say I think the biggest oh shit moment was Alton, Illinois, Mineral Springs Hotel. Arthur.
Oh.
It was yours.
That was mine. And we're walking through it. And this old guy looks like some clothing from the early 1900s with the black boots and the pants and the white ruffled shirt. He's walking by with his head down as we're taking a tour of the hotel. Walks by me and it picks his head up and looks at me, gives me this strange look. I'm like, okay, well, this is interesting. And walks about 5 feet, turns around, gets behind me and starts beating the crap out of me in my kidney, sucker punching me from behind. And I go down. Because, I got issues with kidney stones. So he was sucker punching me. I went down on my knees, and this guy in front of me, John, his head was going up, down, up, down, up, down, looking at the spirit, Arthur, attacking me and looking at me back and forth. I go, did you see that? And he's like, yeah, but I don't know if I should believe it. I go, what do you mean? It didn't register on his little $40 meter.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm like, but you saw it. How can you not believe what you physically saw, especially as I'm sitting here in pain? And it turns out it was this guy, Arthur, who they say committed suicide, and we proved later from communicating with him that they actually killed him and staged his own death in that hotel.
Yeah. And mine was
and it hurt. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It hurt very, very much. He knew exactly where to hit to disable me.
What was the name of the place we were at? The cold place. Oh my God, I couldn't remember it.
Oh, Sloss Furnace.
Oh yeah, mine was at Sloss Furnace.
Oh, that was
and
nasty.
we were going through, and people were going down the stairs into this basement area, and Jeff was 2 people behind me, and it was dark. And as I was going down the stairs, I just happened to look in the doorway, and there was a shadow of a man standing in the doorway, and I made eye contact, and I just thought, okay, he's over there. And as I started walking down the stairs, I felt a hand go into my chest to my heart.
He squeezed.
And I froze, like dead on the staircase. And the person who was behind me was like pushing me to try to get me to go down the stairs. And I couldn't move. I was solidly frozen in place. And Jeff, who was, like I said, 2 people, he was behind that person. He was like, Nance, are you okay, honey? Are you okay, honey?
Then look and see. We have to. We see it, and seeing is believing, but it takes a few seconds to actually realize what you're actually seeing.
And I was finally able to kind of pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "Oh my God, he touched my heart." And he didn't touch my heart in a good way. He touched my heart like he wanted it out of my chest. That was that horrible spirit in Sloss Furnace.
That was Slag. And we eventually got rid of him that night, but he still comes back to haunt me.
It was just probably, I didn't want to go back. I kind of stayed in the area where everybody else was after that. I didn't want to go back into the area at all. And then everybody was going to go back again. And I was like, okay, I'm not standing out here by myself. And if I don't go back, I'm letting him win. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to let a spirit win over me. So, yeah, it was. Yeah, okay. I fought back.
Yes, we have, Don.
Waverly Hills,
oh my God, been attacked at Waverly. Met some very interesting characters there. saw
Yeah.
some of the past.
Yeah.
It's a very, very haunted facility.
Well, yeah, it's needless to say, but
Yeah.
we had experience on the roof with the nurse who
Yep.
proceeded to tell me about the reason why she died.
Doctor got her pregnant.
Was the
Yeah.
doctor had gotten her pregnant and she didn't commit suicide.
Oh,
Nope.
she did.
She was pushed off the roof. And yeah, and I don't remember who it was, but had the infrared binoculars.
Me.
And yeah, it was you. And as I'm having this conversation with the nurse, he's passing the binoculars around behind me because she's over on the other side of the roof.
She overlaid herself on Rick Hayes' body.
Yeah.
It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and he was passing the binoculars around
For everybody to see it.
Wow.
Yeah, Waverly was.
Yeah, but last time we were there, we brought it out with just our group of friends, and it was really, really interesting because the spirits wouldn't trust us or didn't want to communicate with us. But this one spirit did tell us, and we asked, "What can I?" We're on the 4th floor, okay, on the balcony. What can we do to get you to communicate and trust with us? And the spirit said, "Jump." What do you mean jump? And it goes, "Jump off the roof." And everybody around me go, "He ain't fucking jumping."
He's not jumping. Sorry, I don't need your trust.
Yeah, I was like, he ain't jumping.
That's not happening.
They just wanted to get rid of me.
Nancy's going here. Wait a minute. I got this insurance policy
No,
here.
Nope, because his box doesn't work for me. That spirit box, no. He's got to tell it
I got to tell it to work for
to
her.
work with me. Otherwise, and I don't push him. I respect whatever comes out of that box. And we had gone to Eastern
State Penitentiary.
which I think when we went there, it was investigated out. There was so many people there that you couldn't.
Well, we had Dorothy Dot.
Yeah, we had Dot, but you couldn't like really experience too much stuff. And like you would see shadow people, in a doorway or things like that. But it was so much. But we were in a cell. And we were doing a box session.
True story, okay?
We were doing a box session in one of the cells. And I'm claustrophobic, so I wasn't going to go in this little area with all these people.
Hold on to your ass for this one.
So there's like 6 people inside the cell, and I'm standing in the doorway, and they're doing a box session, and their spirit is coming through, and then there's nothing. Then you'd hear that it was just like sporadic, and this was all within maybe a 10-minute period of time, and then all of a sudden, Jeff gets up and he starts walking toward the door. So I moved to let him get out. And I looked at him like, "Oh, you son of a bitch." And all of a sudden, it was Steve Holte. He goes, "Oh my God. Oh my God. Do you smell that? Do you smell that? It's like noxious chemicals, noxious fumes. Oh my God." And, you hear spirit coming out of the box going, oh, like that.
I farted.
He farted. So I just let them believe that spirit was releasing some noxious gas in the cell. And I didn't say anything because I knew it was him. But it was just hysterical the way they were all sucking each other into this smell that all of a sudden was.
So it was Steve that farted?
No, me.
Jeff.
You.
Me.
Oh,
He
Jeff.
farted and then slowly walked out the door.
She knew as soon as I was, she goes, "You didn't." She just hit her and just smile and walk out.
He crop dusted the whole room.
Oh my God, it was hysterical though. Just listening to them all believe that it was spirit. Spirit was delivering this horrible smell. It was like,
Yeah, what's the message? Get the hell out of there before you die of asphyxiation.
Spirit coming out of his butt.
That's crazy.
It would be really nice. Don it would be really nice to go to Alcatraz. Yeah. That would be kind of awesome, but I don't think I don't know if they do investigations.
They won't do investigations, but they do tours.
Mhm.
But they won't let you do an investigation.
How about Fort Madison Penitentiary in Iowa?
In Iowa?
I never heard of it.
My bucket list is Gettysburg. We haven't been to Gettysburg yet.
I would love to go to
And
Gettysburg.
I want to go to Gettysburg, but I don't want to go to Gettysburg.
We will be so overpowered with emotion there.
Because, I mean, I had a bad enough experience on New Year's Eve. Jeff's uncle had to go to the emergency room. And the worst place to be when you are like we are is in like a hospital, because you have spirit all around. But they were literally coming out of the woodwork. That it was, and we were there for a really long time.
I have a couple friends that are the nurse for hospice nurses.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
That's got to be tough.
And I have one that's seen numerous spirit come off.
Oh yeah,
That's funny that you say that, because when we put his uncle in hospice, the nurse who was helping us out was telling us, somehow the conversation got into spirit, and she said, "You have no idea how many times when somebody is passed, I see their spirit leave their body." And she was like, I respect it. I understand it. I don't question it, but I don't talk about it. And I was like, well, here's two people that are going to talk to you about it because we understand it.
So are you a medium?
I'm an extra large. Thank you.
I knew you were going to say
Yes.
that.
You know what? I don't like to put a label on myself.
I understand.
Yes.
I was by what you were saying.
Yes.
And I never heard that side of you before on the show. So, it's I am too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that, it's good to run into people, because that's always another source of information.
Exactly.
When you run into circumstances that you don't really understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another avenue of help when you need it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I, like I said, I've had this gift since I was 3. It's grown over the course of time. When I finally even let Jeff into this whole situation was quite by accident. We were driving down the highway coming home from his office one day, and all of a sudden, I mean, we were in traffic, but it wasn't like bumper to bumper. Traffic was moving, and all of a sudden he slams on the brakes. And I looked at him and I go, "Oh my God, did you see that person run across the highway?"
She went forward and hit her head on the dashboard windshield.
The dashboard. I go, "Did you see that person run across the highway?" And he looked at me and he goes, "You saw that?"
That's why I hit the brakes.
I go, "Yeah."
And you look over to your left was the cemetery.
It was the cemetery on the other side. And they had run across those 4 lanes of traffic, the L train, and then the rest of the lanes of traffic to get back to the cemetery. And
so which cemetery was it?
Oh my God. It's off of, what was it? It's not
off of 290.
290 and by Brookfield.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah,
it's a beautiful cemetery. Oh my God, we went there one day.
We just got my mini box plus. Well, where do you want to go? I said that cemetery where ran across.
And the cemetery.
You see, it just disappeared again.
Right into the cemetery. Yeah. So we had gone into that cemetery, and a lot of the grave sites in that cemetery are people who are like gypsies.
Right.
Well, they were performers, weren't they?
Right. Yeah.
Well, not just performers, but they were Romney Childs, and they were different. You
remember Walter?
Ethnicities of gypsies. And
were you in the section by Brookfield Zoo that was Showman's Rest. Was that the section that you were by?
I have no idea. We just walked into the cemetery and just kind
They
of
had beautiful mausoleums.
lost our minds. The crypts were all above ground, and they weren't mausoleums. They were crypts. And they were stunning.
Now, you got to imagine, it's got the mini box, and I'm learning how to use it, and one voice kept coming through, a guy named Walter, and annoying us, but he wanted to talk, and he ended up, Walter's, where's your grave? We jumped into the car, and he gave us directions to the cemetery, to his grave, to drive to him.
Yeah.
Literally.
So once we got there, we were like, okay, what do you have to say?
Okay, and we talked with him for a while.
And there was a couple of times, because we were filming at the same time, where we were running into people and they were like, what are you doing? And why are you filming in the cemetery? And I'm like, we're not filming anything in particular. We're just doing this. I mean, this was before podcasts and before all that stuff, when we just started our show. So we were just like, we're just doing this, and I find cemeteries fascinating since I was a girl, and we just couldn't believe how beautiful it was. I mean, it was probably one of the most, and I've been to cemeteries all over the world, but that was probably one of the most beautiful, and it's here, and we never even knew about it. Yeah.
There was a cemetery out in St. Louis, and we were all there with the group, and I wandered off. I'm tired, and I'm sitting on this area of steps, and this father or priest comes running up to me, screaming and yelling at me that I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. I didn't belong here. Get out. And I got him to give me his name, and I finally I got so mad. I'm like, I gotta follow him. I gotta follow this through. And I followed him, and it took me to his grave. Father William Bowden.
Wow.
I believe he's the one that did the
exorcism.
The exorcism. Yes.
Yeah.
Of a little boy in St. Louis.
Yeah, that St. Louis cemetery was tough. As soon as we got out of the car, I got violently ill.
Oh yeah, we both did.
I was throwing up in shopping bags. It was really bad. But the cemetery
had a nasty taint to it.
Yeah, the cemetery in Kentucky. Beautiful.
Do you guys want to try to do a session?
No, we can't. No? The box isn't ready. We need a new battery.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
No, maybe next time.
Next time, I got to order a battery for it.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll plan on doing that.
Yeah.
The next time, battery only lasted 10 years.
I'm not trying to cut you short here because
that's okay.
We could stay around a little bit longer and talk a little more. And
we love talking to you.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
you guys are great people, and
thank you.
And it's that's what's important about it, is that a lot of the people in the community don't seem to understand the viewpoint of respect. I hate to sound that way because
that's all it is.
True. It is true.
In that same cemetery in St. Louis, I forget who it was, but she was trying to take a picture of General Sherman.
Yeah.
Okay, and he burned down Atlanta. Okay.
Right.
She couldn't take a picture. I go, did you ask him?
Yeah, they all kept coming out blurry.
And she goes, what do you mean, did I ask him? I said, he's right here. Ask him. She's like, well, you ask him. So one picture and one picture only. So she takes her one picture and she goes, I got to get more. And she tries to get more pictures and she can't take them.
No, only one picture came out good.
I told you, one picture only. Next time, ask first. It'll go a lot farther.
You'll get. It's like treating them.
We were just this last May, and every year we go down to the Keys, down towards the bottom, and my brother-in-law's house is down there. And the first time I saw Robert the Doll was when he was in downtown Key West, and they had that house that was next door to the old. It was the Pan Am building. They called it. That's all been changed now.
Yeah.
The house is still there, and so I was getting ready to go in there, and I was talking to this guy, and he says, Robert's gone. I says, what do you mean Robert's gone? He says he's over at the fort. Did you know about that fort?
No.
Yeah, we were given history on that and how it was made and why it was made and where the cannons were in there, everything.
So you actually did you go in and have a tour
At one
of it?
point we did. We walked it.
Okay. When we were in Key West?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that's where Robert is now.
Really?
Robert is downstairs, where the cannons were all the way around. You can go all the way around the bottom down there.
Mm-hmm.
And they have him in a plexiglass glass case and everything. So everybody in my house, it was like, oh yeah, Dad's gonna do this.
Don's talking about Marie Laveau.
Their eyes rolling their head and everything, and I said,
yeah.
I'll see you guys. He said, well, we'll be back. How much time do you want? I said, give me an hour. That'd be good. And they said, okay, we'll see you in an hour. And they take off. So I go right in, and first thing I want to do is I want to see Robert. So I get going, and it's almost like if you were in some sort of haunted house type thing, because there's curtains that you go through. And it was like, I thought that was really weird. Is there a guy on the other side with a hatchet or what?
No, battle axe.
But I was I was by myself, and I started walking around. They said, don't worry about it. Just keep on walking, and you're going to run into them. And as I came around this one bend, and I'm going down, and I could see it down there. See him? Yeah. And right away, I start talking to him, because there's no way in heck that I want to cross any barriers when it comes to, what he wants, his personal privacy in mind. And by the time I got over there, I said, would it be okay as I can take as many as I want? And it was pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. You were respectful and you asked.
And this was the second, because when he was in the old house, I went up there, and back then, I think I asked, but I only took 2 pictures. But he was out. He was actually out sitting on top of this table.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
And nobody, it's like, people didn't know about Robert.
I don't know.
Poking him? I don't think, you see somebody go up there and start poking them and stuff. Say, oh, well, are you in for a rude awakening?
Oh, those are the ones who get shock treatment.
It's like, you got to be kidding.
Thrill seekers, I call them.
What's the best spot you guys like in Key West?
The southernmost tip for the restaurant for the key lime pie.
Okay. Why didn't I know you were going to say key lime pie?
I don't know. The cocktails were pretty good.
Cocktails were really good.
When we were there, though, we didn't go with the intent of visiting too many haunted places.
No,
we were staying in Fort Lauderdale, and we decided to drive down to the Keys.
I like the cats at the Ernest Hemingway's house.
And we had gone down. It was right after the hurricane, so we were going down when there was still a lot of mess and destruction and all of that. And the hotel that we stayed at was the one that's like the last hotel before you fall into the ocean.
Right.
And the day that we left, absolutely. But the day that we left, we left because the hurricane was coming again.
We were debating. Well, let's say another day. Well, let's check the weather forecast.
Yeah,
no, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it was under 4 feet of water.
That night when we were trying to sleep. It was the winds and just, it was like, nah, I think we need to get out of Dodge. But,
Yeah, let's go back to Fort Lauderdale now.
Wow, that's amazing. How hard of a time did you have on one?
Going there was easy. Heading out, it was just like mass genocide. Everyone wanted to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
And way back when, that drive used to be so easy and so nice. Used to be set at 55, 60, 70. No one gave it.
It was like 35 miles
yeah,
an hour.
now 35, 40, 30.
Yeah.
And you're like, they added an extra hour on it with these damn cockamamie speed limits.
I couldn't drive. I made him drive because I can't drive that slow. There's just no way it's happening.
And what's funny is there's a bridge there.
Don. Jeff Mudgett is an extremely, extremely good friend of ours.
Where is
actually, we had him on our show. Our show was the very first show that he was ever on.
Yeah.
When all of this started with his book Bloodstains. Yeah.
Is he on here now?
No, he was on Don's show.
Yeah, he's actually doing another show tonight. Jeff
Yeah.
He's on Don Corleone's?
Yeah. No, he was on Don's.
He was on Don's.
Yeah.
I still haven't met him.
Oh,
you haven't met him yet?
Oh, you have to have him.
We'll take care of that for you.
You have to have him on your show. He's my hall pass, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, the Holtes and the Rathmans and everybody have been on. And, I did have our good friend, Bruce on one time. And I thought sure as heck I would be able to have him on about 5 or 6 times. And he just threw a stymie at me. And, and I can understand somebody's privacy and everything. And I handle things a little differently because I will message before I call.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened last night that's Ron Iacovetti, and that was my partner, and he had the control of the board. And what did he do? He just went ahead and he called him up and asked if he wanted to come on. And I thought, that.
No, we've done that before. We did our show. We had 2 shows on Paranormal TV Network, and the other show was so much fun. So I figured
they didn't have a host. They didn't have a guest.
They didn't have a guest, so we called in. So we went show to show.
Yeah. People were calling in our show and calling in their show.
Yeah, and they call, what the hell are you guys doing? I go, well, I told you I was going to do this one day.
Don,
that's pretty funny.
Jeff and I were able to go into the basement of the post office.
Yeah.
We
in Englewood.
Yeah, Jeff Mudgett was here, and we there was this real sweet lady who was working in the post office at the time, and her and I started talking, and she goes, well, I'm not supposed to take anybody anywhere. And I said, okay, well, we're not just anybody. I told her who we were, like we're, these big stars.
Little did they know that we had permission to be in there from the U.S. Postmaster Attorney General. I said,
and
special case.
Just so you know, this guy who's here with us is Jeff Mudgett, and he is H.H. Holmes' great-grandson. Right. So we'd really like to go as far as you can let us go in the basement. That would be really great. So she goes, okay, no problem. I'll take you down. So we're walking down the basement, and it's a post office, but there's rooms that are just kind of creepy down there. Even though it really doesn't have anything to do with the murder castle.
No.
But it does.
But I did find a few boxes of voting ballots stuck away in a corner.
No, you did not. They were from Daly's time. And as we're walking down the hallway, she tells me, I don't like this hallway. I go, why don't you like this hallway? She goes, because every time I
Oh,
come
the
down
chairs.
here, the chairs are in a different spot. She goes, they'll be on this side, and when I go to come back out of the hallway, they're on the other side. I go, well, who moved the chairs? She goes, I don't know who moved the chairs, but I wish whoever moved the chairs would stop moving the chairs. I said, okay, so this is what you do. You walk down the hallway and you tell Spirit, please don't move the chairs because every time you do, they make me nervous. And they'll stop moving the chairs. She goes, really, that's going to work? I go, yeah, it's going to work. Give it a shot. So she did when she was going back out of the room after she took us there. And when we got back out, I go, so what happened? She goes, those bastards didn't move the chairs. I was like, you asked them not to, so they didn't.
I mean,
Now,
it was fun to be there.
now, when you were there, though, what year was that?
Oh, it had to be 4 years ago, 5 years
Probably
ago.
about 5 years ago,
Maybe
maybe
more.
a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it was-
because it's been all tore down, right?
the post office? No, the post
No,
office.
the
is still
post
there.
office was built on a corner of the where the murder castle was.
But if you go all the way down into the basement, there is like
There's
it's
a
like
few catacombs that
it's like a window that you can
Yeah.
climb up into this, and there's a wall that was the original murder
Right.
castle. That was where the castle was.
now
So
the only you could feel things and see things, except when I went to walk up the stairs to exit out of the basement, and it wouldn't let me. And
yeah.
I got Nancy calling my wife, come, grab my hand, and someone else pull, and they try to pull, and I can't move. They're not moving me. Just yank me. Whatever was in there didn't want to let go.
So do you think those were all the spirit
Oh yeah,
the
there were a
people
few of them there.
that died
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
And believe me, that's the last place I wanted to stay was in that basement.
Yeah. I mean, I've told Jeff about a couple of the spirits that just from when we first met him. And
Yeah, I'm
these
not a
women-
spirit psychiatrist.
Yeah.
To be in there and counsel all those
I
women.
can go along with that.
And there were just a lot of female spirits who came through, and I gave them names and
Mhm.
I gave them reasons why they were there, and yeah.
Did they ever give you a number of people that died in the murder?
No.
No.
But
they
we didn't pursue that either.
No, I don't need to know that. I talk to whoever wants to talk to me, and then that's the end of that.
That was
Oh.
a road he didn't want to go down.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason I was bringing that up was my wife's grandfather was there at the exposition.
Oh, really?
And he remembered the corner.
Mm-hmm. And it was, I mean, if you looked at it from the outside, it was just another building.
Right.
You know, it wasn't anything
Yeah.
that you would think was.
Nobody had any idea what was going on inside.
But
you know.
his great grandfather was not just the first serial killer, but that man
Right.
was
That-
probably the first narcissist.
Yeah, Don, that was not Herman H. Mudgett in his grave. That was someone else.
Yeah, it was.
And
one
it's
of the
finally
other-
all coming out. The Philadelphia Archdiocese put an end to that program because they didn't want the truth coming out. And they shut it down.
Yeah.
That's why it was so abruptly ended.
Supposedly, the person that was in that grave was one of the jailers. It was one of the guys who worked in the jail.
That they had killed.
That
Yeah.
he had killed him, and it was
He
kind
said-
of like a Silence of the Lamb thing where he, peeled off the face and just.
Right. He was
Yeah.
hanging.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you match through dental records when you don't have an initial set to begin with?
Yeah.
Right.
So.
That is awesome. Well, it's an hour and a half already, and it seems like we just
Wow.
went
Wow.
ahead and started talking a
But
minute
that's,
ago.
that's what's so much fun about talking with you because we just can
Well,
go forever.
Mhm.
It's an honor for me to have you guys on. That's for
Well,
sure.
it's an honor for us to be
Plus whoever's behind me, right?
right. Yes. Well, we're going to go out and do some investigating this summer, and it'd be great if you could come with us and just have some fun.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah,
I
and
would
the next
really
time,
look forward to it.
You want us to come on, we'll make sure that we're able to do a box session. So,
Okay, we will, and it's not going to be that long down the road. That's for
Good.
sure. I have February and March done, and you know, it's just amazing to have people like you on that, you know, really have a real tight hold on the community when the community started, and the people that you know, and the people that you knew.
Yeah.
And you're talking about Tim Miley. That's one person who's had so many
ups and downs.
Yeah, ups and downs in his life, and it's nice to finally see him on an upswing.
Right.
You know, he's got the uptick going on right now.
And if you know the story, because he got the paw things, Murray was his dog.
Yes.
And Murray saved his life.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to meet Murray. He was really a sweetie.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and shut us down. But before I shut us down, I'm real fast. I'm just going to go ahead and mention everybody that's been here, because I like to do that. We had Carol Garcia. We had Don Corleone. We have Kimmy Corpse, Becky Evans. We have the Common Denominator Network. We have the Paramystic, Cara Garcia. Then we have Katie Arnott. We have Steel and Ivory, Tracy Rizzo. We have the Paramystic and Don Corleone again, and that's pretty much it. Welcome, or thank you very much, people, for everybody that showed up. It's a real honor to have you guys on here, and I'm glad you were able to go ahead and actually share some of the things that we shared tonight as far as the paranormal is concerned. So without further ado, I'm going to end it, and I would love for you guys to hang around for a few.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Okay. We'll see you guys.